Hey, I'm Janessa Lane. I am a student at Oak Bay High School. I am 17 years old, and I am currently in Mr. Mackenzie's grade 11 English class. In this class, we've been studying Shakespeare, learning about his life, as well as studying and comprehending his novels and plays. The book that we read as a class and studied the most was Macbeth. We started by reading the novel and working through the important passages, then moved into watching the play. Macbeth is a story that was meant to be acted, a play. Shakespeare often wrote more plays than stories, but over time, as Shakespeare became more popular, it was changed into a novel as well. Shakespeare based a majority of Macbeth on true events. It's a story of a king who was murdered, a story of suspicion and hate, and how inner conflicts can lead to bad ambitions. But the real theme of the play in Macbeth was ambition alone. Ambition can drive people to do big things, good or bad. But in Macbeth's case, his ambition only leads to his demise and the downfall of those around him.
A little bit about Shakespeare's life. Shakespeare was most likely born on April 23, 1564, even though there is no actual documentation of this. This is thought to be the date of his birth because there is documentation of him getting baptized. And back then, babies were baptized only a couple of days after his birth. Shakespeare married at the age of 18 to Anne Hathaway, 1582. Shakespeare and Anne Hathaway had 3 children, 1 boy and 2 girls. Shakespeare would write plays as well as act in many of his own plays. His plays were even played for the Queen Elizabeth and King James. Shakespeare also wrote an abundance of poetry, mostly sonnets. The last play Shakespeare ever wrote was The Two Noble Kingsmen. Shakespeare's plays were performed most often in the Globe Theatre. The Globe Theatre had 4 flags. One of the flags was the flag of the Globe Theatre, and always stayed up. As for the other 3 flags, they alternated depending on the type of play that was showing that day. There was a white flag that symbolized comedy, a black flag that symbolized tragedy, and a red flag that symbolized a political play. Macbeth is a play with a theme of ambition, and how it can drive anyone into doing anything. Ambition is what drove every action, every decision, and every murder in this play. In the beginning of the play, Macbeth met 3 witches that told him that he would be king. Macbeth wanted to be king, but he knew that Duncan had no intentions of stepping down. He knew the only way he would ever get to be king was at the cost of King Duncan's death. So Macbeth and his wife decided to let their ambitions lead them into taking fate into their own hands. This soliloquy is by Macbeth himself. The quote is showing how Macbeth is at inner conflicts with himself on whether or not he should kill Duncan. Macbeth and Lady Macbeth had talked already about murdering Duncan, but in the soliloquy, we can tell that Macbeth doesn't fully stand by the idea. Even though he wants to be king, we see that when Macbeth goes on to say what a good leader Duncan is, and how it would be wrong to murder him when he is his guest. At the end of the soliloquy, it is thought that Macbeth had decided his ambitions to become king were not worth the price of Duncan's life. But actions speak louder than words, when after his conscious decision to not kill Duncan, Macbeth allows his ambitions to take over his actions and murders him anyway. By Macbeth killing Duncan, after making this conscious decision not to, it shows that ambition is the theme of the play, and even though ambitions can lead to very good or very bad things, ambitions will always take over. If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence, and catch with his decreased success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all. But here upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come. But in these cases we still have the judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught return to plague the inventor. This even-handed Justin commands the ingredients of our poisoned chalice to our own lips. He's here in double trust. First, as I am his kinsman and his subject, strong both against the deed. Then, as his host, who should against his murder shut the door, not bear the knife myself. Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off. The pity, like the naked newborn babe, striding the blast of heaven's turban horsed upon the slightest couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye, that tears shall drown the wind. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which overleaps itself and falls on the other. I like exploring the world of Shakespeare and all of his plays, and this was definitely one of my favorite chapters of my grade 11 English experience. Thanks for watching.